What's going on, fellow A pluses? It's your boy Adam Perez back once again with a brand new episode review as we're set to go ahead and get into Agatha All Along, episode number 2. Now, I know that they wind up dropping both these episodes together last week on the premiere, but I wanted to go through them individually. So I didn't want to do episodes 1 and 2 review together. So this is why we're doing them kind of separately, if you will. And I wanted to go ahead and get this one out of the way before the brand new episode winds up dropping here this week. There is a part of me that kind of wishes that I had watched these episodes kind of back to back. Even though I didn't mind some of my speculation that I wind up giving in episode number 1, watching episode 2 separated by a couple of days didn't make it feel as connected as it was certainly presented it certainly itself to be, especially with the idea by the end of episode 2 they're technically at sort of the witch's road. And so I am kind of curious as to like what the next few episodes are going to be like. I mean, we're going to be getting 8 episodes if I'm not mistaken. So are we going to get 6 episodes on the witch's road? So there's definitely a lot more that I feel that maybe even the trailers themselves for Agatha All Along didn't necessarily showcase, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that I did see felt like it was maybe within the first 2 episodes, if you will. But there are some like other Aubrey Plaza stuff, some moments on the Witch's Road that I remember seeing in the trailer, along with some Aubrey Plaza stuff as well. So plenty more to certainly go. But 2 episodes in, I really love how they wind up sort of leaving things off. There are a couple things that I really enjoyed about this episode. If I can just get maybe the cons out of the way, maybe the first half of this episode was a little bit slow for me. I felt like the more enjoyment I got out of this episode is whenever Agatha was around any of the other witches. Her moments with the witches I thought were really great in here. We got the opportunity to finally see Patty LaPon, who played Lilia in here, Ali An, who also played Alice, and then Shashir Zamata, who plays Jennifer, one of the other witches. And I love how Mrs. Hart just kind of gets thrown in there, played by Deborah Jo Roop. For a second there, I was like, oh wow, is she a witch too? Considering that she was returning from WandaVision, I thought it'd be pretty neat if she was a witch also, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems like she just kind of brought her along because she's a gardener, and Agatha needed somebody that has some sort of connection to Earth, I guess. But there are just some moments between Kathryn, Hahn, and Joe Locke, who play both Agatha and the teen in here. I don't necessarily know if I'm fully on board with their chemistry. The teen himself, Joe as an actor, okay, but I felt like Kathryn Hahn did a lot of the heavy lifting between the two. I just don't know how I care about their individual sort of chemistry with each other. So I felt like it was a little bit slow going in the first half of this episode. But once they start really kind of interacting with the other witches, sort of my more enjoyable sequences in here. I was a really big fan of the ballad personally. While I'm not a huge fan of just like witches and witches lore and things like that, trust me, I've watched my fair share of like American Horror Story, Hocus Pocus. I don't think I ever really watched Charmed or anything like that, but there's a bunch of other the movie Witch, The Witch, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen a couple my fair share of witch things. And so the idea of them having a ballad and singing and stuff, that's having some sort of rituals or whatever the case may be, that stuff just never truly bothers me like I think it bothers some people. One, I'm also a big fan of musicals, and then two, it just feels something like natural that I think witches would just do in general, if you will, when doing summonings or spells or whatever the case may be. So it just kind of fits that aura and that vibe for me. So, but I always love seeing also just the creativity of just some of the words and the chants that they wind up using. So I thought it was just really beautifully sung, honestly. The highs, the lows. I mean, it was pretty riveting. Maybe a little bit too long for my taste, but overall, I really enjoyed the song, to be quite frank with you. It's really cool to kind of see that open up the gates to the Witch's Road. So I thought that was actually Pretty cool. But yeah, overall, I think like Patty LaPalm, really excited to see more of her in here. I was a really big fan of hers, and I think I'm really fascinated to learn a little bit more about Alice, especially with the idea that her mom, supposedly, according to rumor, from Agatha, says that her mom wind up disappearing or meeting her fate at the Witch's Road. So I'm kind of curious as to what that encounter or what she might learn from that at the end of the day. I was a little bit disappointed too in the Salem 7, or at least that's what I'm assuming the Salem 7 were, that were approaching the house when they were trying to open up the doorway to the Witch's Road. And especially based off of just what we showcased on on episode one's pictures of the Salem Seven from the comic books. I was hoping that they would put a little bit more sort of creativity into it, if you will. But then again, I don't know what the budget of of this show certainly is. I mean, this is technically a spinoff off of WandaVision, right? It's not like a spinoff off of Doctor Strange or anything like that, where we can expect big sort of cinematic and special effects sort of sequences, if you will. And so I'm hoping that this is just sort of like a tease of the Salem 7, and then maybe, we do have a few episodes left. Maybe then they will put some effort into like a costume and creature design, but who certainly knows? But I'm under the impression that the people in the black robes towards the end were in fact the Salem 7, which would be a little bit underwhelming in regards to the things I think they probably could have done significantly better in here. But yeah, I continue to love Kathryn Hahn in here as Agatha. I truly do. I love her performances. I love her range, to be quite frank with you, her mannerisms, her expressions. I absolutely love it. She's just so animated, and especially when she was singing the ballad, like she just really comes across very animated and into it as well. And so, she just brings a level of believability to me for Agatha, and so I have great laughs with her. I feel like I understand her emotions for sure, and it's really fun to kind of see Catherine Hahn kind of play around in this world a little bit. But there's plenty more I definitely would like to see. But for a first two episodes, pretty good start. Fun start, if you will. I'm not in love with it, but there are definitely moments where I find myself really intrigued. If anything, I do think that this episode really does set up the dilemma that each witch is dealing with. I think if there's any witches that I'm, like I mentioned before, that I'm kind of fascinated in, it's definitely Alice because of the situation with her mom. And for me, Lilia also. It feels like Lilia has kind of really lost everything. She talks a little bit about her past, all the running that she's kind of had to do. She clearly doesn't find herself in the best sort of financial situation. It almost feels like she's not ashamed, but like she's kind of given up, on really trying sort of thing. And so there's a part of me that wants Lilia in here to be successful and hopefully find what she's looking for. And I am also really fascinated, at least in the mystery of who the teen is. The fact that Agatha finds an interest and finds it mysterious. When she asks some questions about himself personally, what's your name? Where are you from? There seems to be some sort of like spell that's cast over him, whether it's something he's done himself or somebody else has done to him. It almost seems like he's not even aware that it's happening because he's continuing to still talk, and he's almost under. It feels like he's under the assumption that people can hear him, and I just don't know if he's even aware that there's something audibly that's like blocking him from revealing who he is, sort of thing. So I am kind of curious as to why that is. If somebody put a spell on him, to kind of clearly keep his ID sort of as secret as possible. And so I will be fascinated to kind of see who put that sort of spell on him because he seems oblivious to it. He seems absolutely oblivious to it. He does because he doesn't freak out when some people are like, "Huh? What are you saying? What's your name?" sort of thing. He doesn't even freak out when Agatha's kind of inquiring a little bit more. So I don't believe he's even aware of it. But that is a mystery about the team that certainly has me intrigued a little bit more about him. So there are some good things. There are some things I don't necessarily care for in here, but I will say I've been enjoying the story. I enjoy the comedy. I enjoy the character interactions, and I'm fascinated to learn about a little bit more about some of them. But look, overall, guys, I'm looking forward to episode number 3. But at the end of the day, these are simply just my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. What did you guys think about Agatha episode number 2? Highs, lows, pros, cons. Certainly go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. But until next time, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other and keep it A plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.